So you've got several different colors for the applique, and once you've made the applique, the double-pieced applique, you're going to pin it onto the dragon background that you have made, and then continue to make it per color. And what you want to do to make sure that you don't mix it up is to keep the pieces that you've used to draw it, that are marked with the color ABC, whatever it is, and the number of the piece on each piece. And you can number the pieces itself, but to be quite sure it doesn't rub off or whatever, because here the chalk is rubbing off, just keep the pieces. And now we're going to cut that out. You've sewn it all the way around. Each piece has to be sewn all the way around except for the eye. That is the only piece that you don't have to sew. I'm leaving that open at the bottom. We're going to sew that. Every other piece is completely sealed, and you're going to have a quarter of an inch seam allowance around it, and you're going to nick in the points, and you're going to ease the curves on each one. We're going to cut this out now and place it on the dragon so you can see what the process is. So here I'm cutting it out. And I'm cutting the edge off there. Very close all around, and make it as even as possible. And you can just nick in. Be careful not to cut your line all the way around any curves, and completely off at the corners. And then you're gonna, I've used plain black on one side and the floral on the other side, because I have a lot of the floral. You could use the same color, and also the floral is very, very much more expensive, yeah, than the plain. So, and the dragon is black, so it worked just fine. And I'm going to cut the slit in the back of my applique, and you're going to turn that to the right side, and you can use a crochet hook to assist in the turning to the right side. And you've got a completely sealed applique. And this is much better than any other system that I have used, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. You can use whatever system of applique that you prefer. But what this is completely sealed. You can use a straight stitch to apply it. It's easy to do. If you use fusible webbing, you can use fusible webbing on certain pieces that are too small, say, for a turned applique like this. Oops. What happens is eventually the fusible webbing lifts, and if you try and stitch it, I found that it gums up the needle of the machine. So you basically have to stitch it by hand. So then you may as well just stitch the applique by hand from very first go, for the get-go, you know, do something like English paper piecing, which has a sealed edge at least. And okay, there you have it. And now you're going to place that, this is number 15, we're going to place that on the finished piece where it matches. So that is to the right of this. It doesn't have to be exact, because it's got no pieces that actually cross over each other, so it's actually a very easy applique to do. And anyway, so the the fusible webbing gums up the needle and you can't actually stitch it down, and you actually do have to stitch it down because eventually it will lift. Anyway, my opinion is this is the best and easiest method of applique to use. Once you have sewn all your pieces, we're now going to press it and then pin it onto the background, and then we're going to stitch it down. Come back and show you that. We've got it pinned on, and I'm going to stitch it down. Pinned, ironed and pinned. My ferret is helping me. That's what it looks like once it's straight stitched all the way around, and we will complete the whole dragon. Doesn't matter now if you don't place it exactly as the map, as long as you keep in mind that you want it to look like the scales of the dragon, so you're going to keep your shape similar. It doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it's still going to look fantastic when it's finished. There we go, and that is how to do the applique. And then we're going to take this applique, and it's going to go onto the quilt.